Scalpel.
Scalpel.
Sponge.
Sponge.
Clamp.
Clamp.
Terrier.
Terrier.
What the?
Blood pressure 900/12, Doctor.
Get me 15 deciliters of phenylalanine, stat.
Still nothing, Doctor.
Damn. Hand me those electrocardial stimulators, nurse.
The what?
The jumper cables, you fool! Hurry!
Oh, here.
Clear!
I'm still not getting anything, Doctor.
Again! Clear! Live, damn you, live!
Doctor, we've lost him.
Damn! So, you want to go out for a drink?
Good afternoon, Your Holiness, and welcome. I look forward to assisting you in your new role as demiurge of this planet. My name is Jasper Wormsworth, and I am certain when you have seen the services I can provide, we can strike a deal that will be mutually beneficial.
Welcome, 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 boss. I'm Aria Goodhalo, and I'm your heavenly helper. Hiya, Wormy.
Look what the cherubs dragged in. We'll discuss my compensation later.
Oh, Pooh, don't be such a meanie.
Let's get down to business then, shall we? We're here to help you set up a smoothly running hell.
And heaven.
If we must. But let's use hell as our initial example. It's so much more interesting.
And uglier.
As I was saying before Featherbrain intruded, the first thing you need to do is set up a gate to allow souls to enter the infernal regions. Click on the first button in the third row. Here, I'll do it for you. And you will see a display of potential gates. Since you're new on the job and your resources are limited, I'll just pick out the most, well, economical of the three. Now we find a parcel of open real estate and place it by clicking on the map, like so. Welcome.
Ooh, but it looks so empty out there all by its lonesome.
Much like your head, my dear. Actually, the virtuous little ninny does have a point. All we've built thus far is a gate. An entrance into hell. If we want anything to happen in hell, we'll need to build some punishments. Before we build our punishments, let's lay down some road so the poor sods have some way to get to them. We do that by clicking on the road button, then clicking next to the gate, then holding down the mouse to drag the road out until it covers a good long distance. We can start zoning for punishments now. So I'll go up to those solid colored blocks at the top of your remote control. Each color represents one of the 7 deadly sins. I'll start with the green one, envy, one of my personal favorites. Now I'll find an open spot by the road and click and drag to create a 3x3 envy zone. Simplicity itself. We then do the same with the other 6 sins, and voila! A scrumptious little mini hell.
Well, heaven can wait, but not forever, you know. Let's just scroll up. That's it. And put down a pretty little gate right here. Isn't that spiffy?
Adorable.
Oh, don't be naughty, Wormy. Oops, I forgot. That's your job, isn't it? Now we need some road and lay out our reward zones. There you go, boss. Don't you just love it? Now let's change your tempo to mortal plotting. And wow, look at those little buildings go! It's official! You're in the afterlife business! Oh, geez, boss, you're in a pickle! Have you noticed those great big colored spiky things with colored balls on the top? Those mean you're losing souls.
Ah, yes. I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Well, gosh darn it, Wormy, it's important. Think about all those poor wandering spirits without an eternal home.
Actually, I was thinking more about the impact on the eternal budget. Lost souls equals lost pennies.
Well, that's important too, I guess. Anyway, boss, here's what you do. First, let's look at the color of the lost soul spike. It's blue. This means that here in heaven, souls are looking for humility rewards, but can't find any.
Or it could signify that the heavens' humility rewards are full.
Yeah, that too. In any case, the easiest way to fix the problem is to add more humility zones. Just click on the humility zoning button, which is coincidentally the same color as the lost soul spike, and drag a new area of humility zoning nearby. In a few years, your losses will be a thing of the past.
As you may have surmised, the color of the lost soul spike indicates the color you need to zone for. If you see a green spike, make more green zones, a brown spike, more brown zones, etc.
Sometimes you can lose souls because your roads aren't connected. Like these two. Just hook them up with another road tile and say bye-bye to your lost souls. Bye-bye.
By the way, sir, if you should ever notice one of those lost soul spikes with a miniature karma station on top, you might wish to check the road and karma track connections to your karma station bases and your karma portal bases. And if perchance you should spot a miniature gate on top of a spike, make sure you have enough properly connected gates to handle the influx of population.
Why, Wormy, you were positively helpful.
My dear Miss Goodhalo, helpful is my middle name.
I thought it was Herbert.
Many souls will, after a time, choose to reincarnate themselves into a new body on the planet. It's imperative that you, the demiurge, meet these souls' reincarnation needs.
Unfortunately, the only way a soul can reincarnate is by going through a karma portal, which is a trans-dimensional nexus thingy that floats halfway between heaven and hell.
When a soul enters a karma portal, it's instantaneously transported to its new body and its new life.
Ooh, and it makes a neat little purple flash of light.
This is all well and good, but it does beg the question, how are you, the demiurge, going to get your souls all the way from here to here?
Ooh, I know.
Oh, all right, go ahead.
The way to get souls to the karma portals is with karma vehicles, which run on karma track and are dispatched from karma stations.
Well, that certainly clears everything up.
No, really, it's easy. Look. First, click on the karma station button on your remote. Now pick a karma station. I'm going to choose the least expensive one because it's early in the game. Now find an empty place near your road and drop your new karma station.
You know, that building doesn't look anything like the karma station you selected.
That's because that building is the karma station anchor that holds the real station in place, you silly. The real karma station is floating directly above it. Halfway between heaven and hell, see?
I see. But why is the karma station anchor all black and cracked?
That's 'cause the karma station hasn't been hooked up to the karma portal with some karma track, Grumplepuss. Watch. First, I'll click on the karma track button. Now I'll click and drag a karma track from my karma station to the karma portal. Voila!
I'm sorry, but I don't see any karma track. All I see are several cheesily cycling blue squares.
That's because you're not looking up, silly boy. See, there's the karma track we just built. Like the karma station, the karma track is anchored in hell, but actually exists in between heaven and hell. If we watch for a couple of seconds, we'll probably even see a karma train go by, whisking souls back to the planet.
Most impressive. I assume the procedure is similar in heaven.
Oh, you betcha. In fact, since heaven and hell share the same karma track, I can connect heaven's first karma station to the existing track by dropping it next to those blue squares. Now I've built a functional karma station for heaven that's connected to karma track that's anchored in hell. See?
Remarkably well done, you relentlessly perky cherub. Is there anything else the demiurge should know about reincarnation?
Oh, probably. But those are the basics. Hey, wanna go get a root beer?
Demons do not drink root beer. Here, Your Eminence, we have a shining example of an afterlife that isn't operating at maximum efficiency. How, you may ask, do I know this? Well, if you'll allow me to bring up a personnel graph from your remote control, as you can see, this afterlife doesn't have any homegrown angels or demons, and its entire workforce is commuting.
Oh, that's because it doesn't have any training centers or topias yet.
And would little Miss Goody Two Wings like to explain what training centers and topias are?
Why, I'd love to.
That's peachy. Knock yourself out.
Well, gee, training centers, like train processed souls to become demons or angels. If all your demons and angels are homegrown, they'll be much less expensive, especially if you give them someplace to live so they won't have to commute. That's where the topias come in. In heaven, they're called utopias. In hell, they're called dystopias. But either way, it's a place for your workforce to live so they don't have to commute, so you can save more money to reward your souls.
Or to torment them. At any rate, since training centers only recruit fully processed, permanently residing souls, it's a good idea to place your centers by a road, smack dab in the middle of your fate structures, like so. And now I'll put one in hell. We should also have topias in both realms. They don't need to be next to a road since angels and demons can fly. But it's nevertheless a good idea to put them near fully realized fate structures since they exert powerful vibes that help buildings to evolve. So let's try one here in hell and one here in heaven. Now I'll crank up the tempo and wait a few years. Very good. Now let's check the chart, shall we? Ah, most satisfactory. The only thing better than an eager demon is an inexpensive one. Just as the successful politician depends on public opinion polls and a little healthy graft to stay in office, the successful demiurge must keep an eye on the relevant graphs and charts to maintain a successful afterlife. Let's check out the graphs first and see what they can do. Going from the top down, the first one displays the distribution of belief systems. With this graph, you can tell what percentage of your afterlife's population believes in reincarnation. How many only believe in heaven, how many only believe in hell, that sort of thing. The second graph breaks down your afterlife's population by sin or virtue. The darker colors represent permanent residents, the lighter colors temporary residents, and the hollow lines represent available housing for that quality. The third chart shows how close some of your special purpose buildings are to being full. As the solid area creeps toward the top, it's time to build new structures. The next graph is the history graph, which charts your afterlife's population growth, income, outcome, and other variables over time.
Are you done yet?
Not quite. The fourth chart shows the composition of your workforce. Remember, homegrown angels and demons are cheaper than imported ones, and resident workers are cheaper than commuting ones. So keep an eye on those training centers and topias. That pretty much wraps up the graphs.
I think maps are nicer. They're more organic.
I gather that you wish to take over the discussion at this point.
Don't you want to share?
That's not exactly in my nature. Consider yourself free to ramble on.
Okay. Anyway, let's shift into the map view by either clicking on the window menu or using the icon on your remote control. Personally, I like the cute little pictures, so we'll just click there. And here's our map view. The map view can show you a top-down view of either heaven or hell, and you can flip between the two with the harp and the pitchfork buttons. See? Heaven, hell. Heaven, hell. Heaven, hell. Rabbit season, duck season, fire! Oh, sorry, where was I? Oh yeah, the map view. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of buttons here, all of which can be kinda useful. This one, for example, shows how many temporary and permanent soul residents you've got in your fate structures, which can be very useful when you're trying to balance your fate structure's resources. This button shows the efficiency of your fate structures, which is determined by a number of factors that we'll get into later. This next button shows the good and bad vibes that are hovering over your buildings. Vibes can affect the efficiency of your fate structures, so it's a good idea to keep track of them. Some buildings, like topias and gates, emit very strong vibes, so be careful where you put them. And remember, in hell, bad vibes are good. This button shows how full your buildings are, which should be pretty darn self-explanatory. This button shows you zoning, which is good for getting a cheap overview of your layout. Whew! We're in the home stretch now, boss. This button shows how crowded your roads are. You can save a few pennies by keeping your traffic on the light side. This is the Karma button, and it'll show you a diagram of your Karma stations, Karma track, and Karma portals. And this last button, Yippee! Shows which structures are carrying an empowering ad infinitum charge, which is vital in making your fate structures evolve. And whew! That's all there is to the maps.
So, my dear Ms. Goodhalo, would you like to enlighten the demiurge on the subject of Limbo Bars?
Ew! Those things are so... Ew! I don't know why we allow them in heaven to begin with.
Frankly, I'm not too fond of them either. Hell loathes second chances. However, duty calls, so... Limbo Bars, your mightiness, are temporary havens for lost souls. Those displaced spirits who for one reason or another cannot find what they're looking for in the afterlife. Normally, lost souls drift out of your afterlife forever, causing you to lose many a penny for each one that slips from your grasp.
With Limbo Bars, though, you can temporarily stave off your losses.
Regrettably, yes. Here's how it works. Consider this little slice of heaven over here. Just 4 kicks will destroy the road that connects it with the rest of heaven.
Hey, stop it!
Shh! I'm making a point. As you would expect, without the connecting road, souls are being lost left and right. Here's where a Limbo Bar comes in handy. I'll just click on the Limbo Bar button, pick a bar, and put it down somewhere where we can see it. Once I've started the simulation running again, you'll notice that the lost soul spikes have disappeared, and that the Limbo Bar's little canisters are moving up and down. This means that the Limbo Bar is attracting customers and entertaining them until the road is fixed.
You mean getting them drunk, don't you?
Well, yes. Studies have found that the only thing that can keep a lost soul from drifting off is the promise of free beer. Unfortunately, each Limbo Bar is equipped with only a limited supply of inebriants, and when they run out, boom.
So it's a good idea not to count on your Limbo Bars too much. So, like who's going to tell the boss about the rocks?
Rocks? You actually have something to say about rocks. I knew heaven was stiflingly boring, but you really have so little conversational material that you spend your time talking about rocks?
Not ordinary rocks, silly. I'm talking about the big old rocks so heavy the boss can't lift them. You know, the ones that you find all over the plains of heaven and hell.
Oh, those rocks. Yes, they're so much more interesting than plain old dull rocks. Why don't you go talk to them instead of boring us with your constant prattle?
Because the boss needs to know about how the siphons work. See this button here, boss? That's the one that brings up the ad infinitum siphons. It also brings up banks, but we'll talk about those later. Siphons draw little bits of infinity, what we call ad infinitum, from the rocks. When you put a siphon down next to a rock like this, the rock begins to pulse, showing that you've tapped into it.
Did it ever occur to you that the demiurge might like to know why he'd want to tap into ad infinitum?
Oh yeah, duh. Thanks, Wormy. The ad infinitum energy helps make your fate structures evolve. With ad infinitum, you'll get much larger and keener-looking rewards and punishments. Without it, you'll never see some of the afterlife's better buildings, ever.
Is that all you have to say about rocks?
Did I mention that the siphons have to touch other buildings, roads, or rivers to spread the ad infinitum?
You have now.
Okay then, I'm done.
Say good night, Arya.
Good night, Arya.
Ports are relatively simple, so maybe I can enlighten you without the poster girl for terminal virtue butting in. If you want souls to travel across one of the rivers in heaven or hell, use your port button to choose a port. Then place one on each side of the river opposite each other. Soon you will be delighted to discover graceful craft punting up and down the waterways of the realm, Don't forget that ports, like all your structures, have maximum capacities, so check on them occasionally, either through the microview or the appropriate graph, and don't allow them to become overloaded.